I guess the spark was I was looking at the different grants that were available through the California Arts Council, and I noticed one that was the Local Impact Grant, and it was talking about working with underserved populations. And I thought of Gail, and I knew that she had Native American heritage, and she had been in some shows up at the Botanical Gardens and had talked about this group that she was involved with called Neshkinukat. And so I just thought this would be a really amazing opportunity to bring some artwork to this area that hasn't really been in this area before. And so Gail connected me with Kat High, and we all got together, and Kat had this book that she brought, and we talked about how do we want to go about bringing a show together that looks at this idea of how we're all related and how there's this connectedness between all of us. And I think it's something that's really important during this time. And even though it was conceptualized before these things happened, I think, there's still this idea that I really want to get across through our gallery and through what we're doing, that sense of community, that sense of connectedness. And so really just found some ways that those thoughts and ideas were coming together. So as we met together and talked about doing this show, we came up with many different ideas, and I think that's really kind of how it started. Sure, yeah, that's something that's been really fun over the years, just as we've developed sort of that art of curating, and it's something that I find quite exciting to do, to sort of look at the art and think about, I think we as individuals, we can bring out the best in each other. We can bring out different qualities when we're around different individuals, and I see the art in a very similar way. So as we're working with the art, we set all the artwork down around the gallery so that we can see it all. And then it's kind of almost like this jigsaw puzzle where we begin to move things, and we look at sort of the size, the color, the content, and all of those different, it's a very intuitive process in many ways, seeing what looks good next to, the next piece of art, the way that the colors carry through. And so having some breaks in the eyes, not having things that are too busy right next to each other, having colors that carry through the space, interspersing. I really like to, with this show especially, show that connectedness between all the different work. So it's not like it's just one artist's work and then another artist's work like that, but you're, really looking at how the colors are going to come together, how the shapes and the forms. So there's places where there's a lot of circular forms are repeated, or there's some different really bright colors, but then there's also lots of earth tones. So to not get all the earth tones in the same place, so your eye kind of becomes bored. So we really want it to be, for me, I want it to look like a feast for the eyes. So when you come in, you're just thrilled and excited, and your eye is moving from one thing to the next to the next. And so, I think it's something that I don't think about as much anymore. When I was working with Juan Gomez, the artist that we worked with for our last grant that we got for the artists and communities, we taught him about that curating process. So that was really fun to kind of explain to him and show him how we go about it, and it helped me to think through more of what it is that we do. So definitely, I would say there definitely is a cohesion to the work. I think there's a number of different themes that I feel like weave themselves throughout. There's definitely a very high sense of the artistry of each person in their own craft and the specific art form that they're doing. And so I think, just the quality of the work all really holds together. But then also there's, very much connection to the people and to the land, and to different kind of traditional sorts of things. And so I love the ways that there's this sense of story to me, I guess, would be one of the ways that I would put it, is that as I look through and I look at the different artwork, I can see a story of the people, of the land, of the way that we're connected together. And I think that, it's really beautiful. There's many circular forms, I think I mentioned that before, that you see repeated, or these kind of dream catcher kind of a feel. And so I think it's really interesting to see that reference, I think, to Mother Nature and to the earth and to that connectedness to animals. There's many different sort of interesting kind of objects or art media that are used in this as well, where they're thinking really outside of the box and using these media in different ways, where you're having feathers and, parts of deer toes and, talons and things that you wouldn't see in probably an everyday show that I think really connect it well to the Native American experience. There are just so many different types of media in this show as well. I think that that's really exciting. And among artists that, the artists aren't just working in one certain art form, that they are exploring a number of art forms as well. So, so Green the Art Space really started with this dream of having a space that would bring together community, creativity, and contemplation. Over the years, I've gone away to a monastery for retreat, and the sense of the spiritual life in a place of quiet and reflection. I thought a lot about bringing that sense here, but I definitely wanted it to be a place that all different people could be welcome. The first show that I did where I curated a show was in a church, and I felt like, I want it to be something that has a sense of contemplation and of peace, but not necessarily a religious, a specific religious context. So I think the larger sort of vision or idea is really a space that celebrates artists of all different levels. I really believe that there's artists of many different kinds and in many different places on their journey. And so I love that I've shown people here from, very, very young artists all the way up until artists in their 80s, and being able to really honor the artistic experience and share that with the community. I think that we are inspired through art, and having a physical space, I'm very passionate about that. So being able to have a space that individuals can come to see beautiful work and be inspired by it, I think is really important. And I think that, although there's the sense in a way of, in the United States of us being very wealthy, a lot of times I feel like there's, I guess what I would call like a poverty of spirit, that we just don't have as much chance to be able to reflect on the deeper things in life that I have found in many of my travels, where I feel like people maybe are in challenging situations, and yet they reflect on those deeper things. So I like to be able to bring artwork from all over the world, from many different points of view. I think that's the way that we connect. So I really want to connect artists with one another, which through our big openings we were able to do. And I want to be able to, connect each of us with the story that the artist wants to tell. So, eventually I would love to have my, eventual goal I would love to have a larger space where I could have artists in residence come from different places around the world to be able to create artwork, and where I could have collections that would be permanent collections. I really want to have a space that's a quiet and beautiful space where people can reflect. And I think during this time that we're going through right now, I'm really having to rethink some things, because our community gatherings, they can't happen in the ways that they used to. So really trying to figure out, what does that mean for us, and are there ways that we can maybe even help people more with connecting with their creativity and that contemplative aspect of creativity. So sure, I think I've always been what I would consider a social activist. Like, I feel like it's really important to be in service, and as an artist I really like to be in service to the world in different ways. And so there are a number of times we've had for our larger charitable events. When we first started out, I really wanted to also highlight another organization that was doing good in the world, and to give other artists an opportunity to see themselves as social activists in a way. So our first show that we did was a bird show. It was called On Silvered Wings, and It was a lovely event where we were able to raise money for a local organization that helps to rescue wild birds. And so I think, you know, we did a show on trees, and we were able to connect with the El Dorado Nature Center. And even though we're a small gallery and, you know, sometimes we struggle, we still give a portion of what we make to those charitable organizations, so that in a way it helps each artist. It makes us all part of a community that's also helping to uplift and support other nonprofits. Because I know for myself as a nonprofit, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to be out there doing the work and doing what's good and saying this is why, you know, you should be supporting this or whatever. So I want to be able to also like offer that into the world and to allow other artists to be part of that.